Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to yet another session of Quest. Quest is a series that we are doing wherein we invite spiritual seekers and sadhaks from various paths to interview them about their life journey. And today we have a very special guest, Mahesh Kumarji, who is basically from Gujarat and he is currently pursuing a Vedanta Sadhaka course in Chinmaya International Foundation, and he has been teaching Indian philosophy and yoga for many years in Rishikesh. He is a graduate in science, MA in yogic science, and MA in philosophy. So, and he has done also advanced diploma in Buddhism and Vipassana, and certificate course in Pali language. So many things, so many aspects to his life journey. But before we begin with questions, let me begin with a small prayer. Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti-Bheda-Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta-Dehaya Shri-Dakshina-Murtaye Namaha. A very warm welcome to you, Mahesh ji. Thank you for making time for this session. We are very happy to have you here.
Dhanyavadaha, Dhanyavadaha, Mahodaya, Sridharji, and Indic Moksha Advaita Academy for this beautiful invitation. Namo Namaha.
So let me begin with my opening question. This is the opening question that I ask all our guests. That tell us about your background, your introduction to spirituality. Who were your early influences? Who kind of influenced your life into spiritual pursuit, or from whom you draw inspiration in your spiritual journey?
Right. I born and brought up in state Gujarat, and I feel very fortunate because early days, like a traditional Hindu family, I've been introduced to the tradition, the culture, the festival, different aspects of Hinduism. But the major change happened after my graduation. When after completing my graduation, I continue my study, master from London. So I stayed there almost for 2 years. Then many question comes. So when you are out from your comfort zone, you have time to think about yourself. So there is a spiritual urgency, not while living in my own country, but there is a spiritual urgency far away from my homeland. So then I started to ask the question. Then I thought, okay, let's try meditation, let's try yoga, philosophy, spirituality. So it was like conflicts between the material world, make your career, continue your lifestyles, and all those things. But the other aspect, no, there is something beyond that you are perceiving in the world. So in 2010, I decided to come back to India, and the next 2 years, I was traveling, wandering in all over India, trying to understand my own country. Uh, During my traveling, I've been introduced to different philosophy, different ashram, different tradition. And I do remember in 2011 May, even I do remember the day, 5th of May was a changing day. First time, actually, I was reading a magazine, and this magazine was like a collection of spirituality, means different gurus, different tradition, different philosophy. And I was reading, and I said, okay, I tried this. Okay, I know this guru. I know this philosophy. Then I was turning the page, and suddenly there was a SN Goenka, Vipassana. And I was like, I never heard of this. And there was like Vipassana, the art of living. That was the title of the article. Vipassana, the art of living, the way of Gautam the Buddha. And I was very fascinated to hear this word first time. Then I thought, let's try this. And last 10 years, Vipassana is become a very big name. People are trying different levels. So I tried the 10 days silent It's not easy. Yes. So when you are new in spirituality, it's not easy to just go for 10 days spiritual silent retreat and sitting 10 to 12 hours a day and just meditating. But this 10 days Vipassana retreat opened the door for me. I was like, okay, so many things clear. And the first time I was able to experience what the meditation is. So the first encounter was Vipassana. Then my first inclination towards in Buddhism. So then with Vipassana Research Institute, I did my Pali language course, diploma in Buddhism, then advanced diploma from Bombay University. So my first encounter in spirituality was with Buddhist philosophy. I'm not using the word religion because yoga and Buddhism develop as a philosophy. So that was my first encounter with Vipassana.
So, how did your interest in Vedanta develop from going from there?
Yes, after rigorous practice of meditation, years and years sitting in a very serene state of mind, but there was something missing, and the missing part was the knowledge. And of course, Buddhism, they have their own philosophy, very well developed philosophy. But I visited Rishikesh in 2013, very first time. And when I was in Rishikesh doing some work here and there, then when I saw Ramchula sitting at the Ganga, then I was like, I know this place very well. So I stayed in Rishikesh. So in the same year, in 2030, there was a one spiritual guru from Portugal. His name is Muji. I think some of the people know about him, Muji. So he was there in Rishikesh. So one of my friend asked me, okay, I'm going to listen Muji. I said, who's that? Muji sounds like a very awkward name. He said, why don't you come and join for the satsang? So I went to the Muji satsang. Then I first time heard about the Vedanta, the Atma Vidya. Then I was like, this is like I never heard of it. It is something very deep and subtle. So this retreats was like for a whole month. So morning and evening we went there for 1 hour satsang. So this slowly this interest in Vedanta, the Atma Vidya, the self knowledge developed. In the same year, I went to Sivanand Ashram, and uh, our Pujya Gurudev Sivanand Swami, he established the Yog Vedanta Forest Academy. So
Mhm.
then I got the admission in the Yog Vedanta Forest Academy for 3 months. And first time I started to study the Indian philosophy. So this is how I've been again introduced to Indian philosophy from a different point of view, because Buddhism. So we have a two different section, Astika and Nastika. So first I've been introduced to the Nastika philosophy, then I slowly introduced to the Astika philosophy. And after studying the two section, I can say, of course, on the grounds of practice, we are not similar, but when we go and deep study into, we find the similarity. So this is how we been introduced to Vedanta. But another thing happened after the 3 months course, like a basic introduction. Then I stayed in the Sivanand ashram for next 2 years. Again, continued studying in yoga and Indian philosophy. So there I met my first guru. His name is Harsha. So he belonged to the Kailash ashram. So he said, okay, you have studied the course. What is next? I said, I want to continue my study in the Bharatiya Darshan. He didn't ask me that I'm going to teach. So, but then after a few days, I asked Guruji, you are very learned. Can I come and join your classes? He said, no, not now, because he wanted first me to test that I am a qualified seeker or not, because this is the beauty of our tradition. It's not you just come and say, hey Guruji, I am here to learn Bharatiya Darshan. No, Guru takes the time first to make you understand you are a serious seeker or not. Because this is the Atma Vidya, very subtle knowledge. Everyone is not qualified for this. So first You have to go through the tapasya, sadhana, then only maybe you are able to understand. So under my guru next 3 years, I studied the Shad Darshan along pursuing my MA in philosophy.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, so you have studied yoga, Vedanta, Buddhist Vipassana. From a practitioner's perspective, you also briefly mentioned that there are some commonalities and differences. Can you elaborate a bit about these commonalities and differences between yoga, Vedanta methods of meditation on one hand and the Buddhist Vipassana meditation on the other
Right. Beautiful question. Because people think that there is a difference, there is a similarity. So let's first see the similarity. So Buddhism is based on three pillars: Sila, Samadhi, and Pragya. Sila means you have to live a moral and ethical life along practicing the meditation and striving for nirvana and developing the discrimination power, the impermanency of the world. And in a Vedanta, we have the sadhana chatushtaya, the same. So sila and samadhi is preparing for nirvana. Same in a Vedanta when you follow the sadhana chatushtaya, following vairagya, yes, discrimination between the permanence and impermanence. So these are the similarity. But the main difference between it's developed by the time in Buddhism. It was not in the beginning like now I said Buddhism is all about anatta, anatmavad. Yes, there is no self. But Vedanta and yoga say no, 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 no. This is all about the self. So this is the main difference. But after studying years, I can very much sure Buddha never said that there is no self. Buddha says the idea, the concept, what you think about the self, which is not true. So we have the same philosophy in a Vedanta. We say the Jiva Bhava is not true. So in a Buddhism, Anatmavada is equal to as a the Jiva Bhava. But by the time, very unfortunate thing happened after Buddha. The disciples, they thought that no, we are different from Vedic tradition, we are different from yoga. Um, but when you study, especially the Yoga Sutra is a very similar practice to the Vipassana practice. But in Buddhism, meditation is very well developed. And in a Vedanta, the knowledge system is very well developed along with the yogic practices. So on the surface, it looks different, but when you dive deep into, everything is so similar.
that's a very interesting perspective. I would say. I think it's worth exploring more deeper. Uh, I know that you also go by the spiritual name Sadhu Shri. Can you
Yes,
tell us the story behind the name and who gave bestowed you that
yes.
name? Yeah.
Uh, my first guru who taught me the Shardarshan. So when I saw him first time, he just looked at me and said, "Who's this Sadhu?" Means he just pointed me, calling me, "Who's this Sadhu?" Because in my early years, what I thought spirituality is all about to live a life like a sadhu. So I was living the life like a wanderer, you know, very minimalist. So when he saw me, he started to call me Sadhu. And by the time everyone picked up this name and started to call me Sadhu Shri. So still, I call myself Sadhu, means a practitioner, a one who's striving for sadhana, the one who's trying to attain the sadhya sadhak.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's wonderful. Uh, see, I think when you were in Rishikesh for I think 8 or 10 years, you were teaching. Apart from studying yourself, you were also teaching yoga and Indian philosophy.
Right.
So tell us about your experience during that phase of life.
See, last more than 100 years, Rishikesh is a very special place. Especially the last 20, 30 years, Rishikesh developed as the world capital of yoga. Um, so, thousands people, Westerners comes to learn the yoga. The credit goes to Swami Sivanand, Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, Beatles, yes, Swami Rama, Padmat Niketan, and all those things. So in Rishikesh, there are more than 100 registered yoga schools. So I was teaching in a different schools, the Indian philosophy along with the meditation. I think my experience is so beautiful because the young generations, they are very well dedicated and to yoga. But also the unfortunate thing, we don't call it yoga, we call it yoga, right? But Rishikesh is famous for yoga, but now it's become for yoga. Means we are practicing only the asana part of yoga. So this we are trying to make them understand that the physical exercise is a very small part. Okay, this is not the whole picture. So you have to go beyond the physical aspects of yoga. And many people are coming. We are trying our best to deliver them the true knowledge. And especially the last 2 years because of COVID. After COVID, many Indians are started to taking interest in yoga. If you go to the Rishikesh now, many Indians, young people are coming to Rishikesh to learn yoga. So it's like again, so after COVID, it's like a new wave because we are after COVID, we are more aware of our physical, mental health. So Rishikesh is a very special place in the terms of it's a very spiritual place, holy place. So surrounded by the mountains, Ma Ganga flowing, morning, evening ashrams are there. So it's like a if you are thinking to start your spiritual journey, yoga journey, Rishikesh is as everything at one place.
Wonderful. You were just telling me how you started your journey from Vipassana and you learned in Goenka Institute. You did a course, and then you went to Shivananda Ashram, and from there you continued studied in Kailash Ashram. So after such a long study, what made you? You're currently doing this Vedanta Sadhaka course in Chinmaya International. So
Right.
how did you come about this course, and what made you take up this course? Since you have been studying all the Shed Darshanas, including Vedanta, for a long period of time. So,
Right.
what inspired you to do this purely Vedanta course as
So here, since October, I'm doing my 1 year residential Vedanta Sadhaka course. So what inspired me? Systematic study. So when I was in a Rishikesh, I was learning here, one teacher, another guru here and there. But we need to systematize this knowledge. Like I do believe that Vedanta, yoga is a subject to study. You have to study like a science. See, when you go to the university, you study the subject properly under the guidance of a great teacher. In the same way, you have to study the Vedanta. So this course is helping me to systematize whatever I have learned to build a proper knowledge.
well? Wonderful. I think that's a very important point that we have to have a systematized and a clear understanding, so that
Right.
only when we understand properly, then we can tell somebody or teach
Very
somebody
true.
properly. Yeah. So tell us about your routine now in this course that you're doing in Chinmaya. Uh, how is the day course? How is the study? How is your experience?
First of all, I would love to say thanks to the Advait Academy and Indic Moksha because they because of their help, I am able to continue the course. So Chinmaya International Foundation, it's a place where many scholars come from different parts of the world and uh, do their research. So Chinmaya Mission is famous for its 2 years Vedanta residential course where you go and live like a sadhak for 2 years. But this course is a very special 1 year course. Means this course is for a little bit advanced practitioners. Means you have a knowledge of Vedanta, then you decided to continue. And in 1 year, we are going to study like the 5 years Vedanta study in 1 year. So very busy schedule. So we have to wake up all in the morning at 5. But our first session start at 7 o'clock. So 7 to 8, Vedanta, then breakfast, then Sanskrit language. Yes, uh, we have to understand the basics of Sanskrit if you really want to understand the Bharatiya Darshan. So after Sanskrit, we have a very special chanting class. So in a very traditional Vedic way, we are learning to chanting all the Vedic mantras and the sukta with the proper intonations. Then we have a break. Then evening we have another Vedanta class. Then satsang. Then bhajan, kirtan. And on weekend, we are learning how to do the yaga, Gayatri, Havan, and all the basics that every Hindu, even not only the Hindu, we all who's living in this very holy land. So we are learning many different aspects of Vedanta. So we are learning the Prakaran Granthas, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita's. It's like once in a lifetime opportunity. This course is like once in a lifetime.
Oh, that sounds very fascinating. uh, as a seeker sadhaka, what are the challenges that you have personally encountered in your spiritual journey, and how have you able to tackle them, or at least trying to tackle them, or successful have tackled them? Yeah.
Right. First, in society, we have a very wrong notion about the spirituality. So, first, in our education system, nobody is teaching us that there is something spirituality, Vaidika Darshan, Sanatan Dharma. Nobody is teaching that in our education system. But last few years, like Advait Academy, Indic Academy, they are trying to provide us the platform so we can understand. So my personal challenge was clear understanding what it is like. So when you read many books, you got more confused. So first, I would say clear understanding, clear vision that what the spirituality is, where to start, whom to go, how to continue. Also, second challenge, it takes time. It's not part time. Okay, on a weekend I will study. Okay, or only few months I will study. Second challenge is that it's going to take years and years consistency. So it's like this. If you want to be a doctor, you have to give your life 5 to 7 years. If you want to master 10 years. But when the things come to spirituality, we don't want to give a time, at least for 2 to 5 years. So when 10 years back, I was very clear that I'm going to give at least 10 years time to study the Bharatiya Darshan. Then and then only you understand what is happening. Then no YouTube guru comes and give you a long speech and you got confused and go here and there. So the first thing, get a clear perspective. Second thing, give some time. And the third thing, find a great teacher who can impart this knowledge.
Those are, I think, very practical tips that anybody can use. And I'm hopeful that the audience who will be listening to this session will be greatly benefited from this. I have just one final question. How important do you think is a spiritual grounding for a successful and a wholesome life? Because in the last
Right.
few decades, especially in India, we see that a lot of people have turned materialistic in their approach. They just want their kids to grow up and get a good job, get married, get settled. There is no spiritual education, spiritual grounding either in at homes or in the school curriculum. So I find this to be a disturbing development. So what are your thoughts on
Okay, so the first thing, uh, we have to give some time, right? You remember in the older time, we have like brahmacharya ashram, then grahastha ashram. Means first you dedicate your life just to study. So I request everyone to give some time to study the spirituality. The purpose of Darshan Shastra is not to make you renounce the world. You remember the words of the Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun, you cannot run away from your dharma. See, so the Darshan Shastra makes us being a responsible social beings. Means it make your understanding clear, it make you responsible towards yourself, towards the family, towards the society. So at the personal level, I believe is spirituality is to make this world more beautiful, and at the personal level flourish life. Like in a Greek philosophy, they say eudaimonia, means the life with satisfaction, fulfill life. So the purpose of spirituality is to make you fulfill. But remember, again, it's not part time, you have to give some time. And it's a very wrong notion, no, but I have a career, I have a family, I can't do like this and that. No, see, unless and until you are not going to try, you are not going to realize that it has done. So try, see, first try only on weekend, join the online courses like Indic courses, right? So they are offering a many courses. So first, let's just taste it. Let's taste what this is like. Then try slowly to apply in your day-to-day life. The purpose is not to make you run from your responsibility, but to be in the society and fulfill your duties towards the society. Karma Siddhanta is very important. Without karma, bhakti, and upasana, if you strive for jnana, you only become an intellectual person. So these are the ladders. So first fulfill the responsibility towards family, society, along with pursue for knowledge. See, we have a whole complete system. So don't get confused. Try not to only practice the one part. Complete system is already there, and the beauty is it's been tested since 1,000 years. So you don't have to go and dedicate your whole life to discover something new. It is already available to you. You just have to pursue it.
Thank you very much, Mahesh, for the enlightening discussion and very practical points, pointers that I'm sure all of us will be benefited from. Viewers, with this, and again, on the behalf of entire Advaita Academy and all our viewers, I like to thank you for taking time and coming on our show. And viewers, with this, we conclude yet another session of Quest. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for more updates on the kind of programs, regular programs that we do. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha.
Hari Om, Shri Guru Pyo Namaha.